Hello guys, today I'm proudly presenting you my new online course about how to structure Laravel projects. This is by far the #1 question that I get from you guys on YouTube comments and Twitter and email and elsewhere. Where should I put this logic? Should it be a trait, action class, service, event listener, and something like that? So a new 2-hour course is available on laraveldaily.com for premium members. Or if you are still on my older Teachable platform, it's also available here. You can purchase that separately as a course or as a part of yearly membership. And usually on YouTube, I publish something from a new course, a few videos, and this time I decided to publish practical examples. So one of the sections of this course is about open source examples related to some classes or some structure. So today we will talk about service class examples from open source projects. Tomorrow I will publish a video about action classes, and then the third video will be about events and listeners. So 3 videos free on YouTube, and if you want full 2-hour course, the link will be in the description below. And by the way, if you have any questions about Teachable platform, so if you have courses here or subscription here, and you want to move to new laraveldaily.com, just email me personally, povilas@laraveldaily.com, and I will explain the situation. I've sent the email to Teachable members, but maybe not all of you have got it. Anyway, back to the topic. Today we'll talk about services in Laravel. In this video, I will show you 2 open source examples of service classes in Laravel. So Day by Day CRM open source project has app services and also subfolders for services, and one of that service is invoice calculator. What it does is gets the invoice, gets the taxes, and then calculates like VAT total, total price, subtotal, amount due, and a few more helper getter methods. So within the invoice, it is a typical operation to get through the invoice lines, also add the VAT rate if that is applicable, and then calculate the subtotal. So that is a service used in the controller. In the invoices controller, if we scroll down a bit, there is a show method for the invoice, so showing the data, and inside of here, there is invoice calculator service created just as a new object passing the invoice. And then 4 methods are called from that service, basically showing the data on the fly. So someone wants to view the invoice, then it calculates all the total prices, VAT prices, and the amount due, and shows to the user. In other words, it's just offloading that logic. Instead of having like 20 lines of code in the controller, it is offloaded to a specific service for the invoices. And another example comes from another open source repository called Laravel, but also related to the invoices. So there's invoice service in another subfolder called admin, and that service has some constructor to get some global data, and then to store the invoice, we have this. It accepts the request as a parameter and stores the invoice for the company ID. It's not the ideal variable name. I probably would call it company ID or something. An interesting thing that invoice service is called within another service. So there's a company info service, more like global service, but within the same folder namespace of services admin. Company info service has a store method to store the company. But after storing the company, it needs to be invoiced. So what is happening here? Company info create with all the data, and then we have invoice service store with the same request with the ID of the new company. So it is passing the same company request to here, and this invoice service is initialized in this case in the constructor. So there are 2 services used inside of this service. So it's kind of like chain of services called within each other. And not only that, there's the third layer. So there's company service, then there's company info service, and then there's invoice service. So company service also has company info service inside of the constructor. It has store method, creates the company, and then creates the info, which in turn creates the invoice. And that all is happening in database transaction to ensure that if something goes wrong, the whole data would be rolled back. And then that company service is finally called from the controller, also auto-completing in the constructor. In the store method of the same controller, we have try catch here. Try create the company. If some exception happens, return the error. So as you can see, controller, then service, service, and service, 3 layers deep. Interesting example.